Hey everybody, welcome back to another fun and exciting Algebra 1 class. In today's lesson, we're going to be in 3.4. We're going to be working on what's called the slope-intercept form. I've also heard it called the y-intercept form. Remember, in a couple lessons ago, we learned the standard form of the line, and now we're going to learn the y-intercept form of the line. So go ahead and jump over to your book. We are on page number 98, page 98. So the two most common forms of the line are the standard form, which we learned was ax plus by equals c. Again, we went through that a couple lessons ago. And the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Now you're like, okay, I remember the m, that was from the last lesson, and so that was the slope. And so that's where the slope comes from. But then the intercept form is the b. The b is actually the intercept, and it's the y-intercept. So that's why sometimes you'll hear it called the y-intercept form or the slope-intercept form. Either one is correct. All right, so here it is right down here, slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. They kind of explain what that is, and I will go ahead and put it up on the screen for you. So here is the actual form. Okay, y equals mx plus b. What does the y equal? Well, the y equals the y point. Okay, the m equals the slope of the line. The x equals the x point. Okay, what's the x point? Well, it's the the xy, right? So the x is the x point and the y is the y point. Okay, and then the last one would be the b. The b, and this is kind of a new introduction for this lesson, the b is called the y-intercept. Do you remember what the y-intercept is? Okay, it's when the x equals 0. So it's going to be 0, comma, and then a y. That is the y-intercept. In the formula, we call it the b. So the y-intercept is 0 on the x and then something on the y. Okay, so this is very, very important. This is probably more important than standard form. Standard form kind of comes back into play once you get back up into like trig and pre-calculus and all that stuff. But for now, this is the dude that we need to know. We need to know this y-intercept form, this slope-intercept form, very important. Y equals mx plus b. I would write it down somewhere. I would memorize it. You need to know that. Super, super important. All right, so jump back over there in your book and let's kind of finish up looking through this. So we can actually write the equation of a line, and we can write the equation of the line if they give us something on the graph. So if they give us this graph, we can actually go back and we can write the equation of the line. Well, how would we do that? Well, let's take a look over here. And let's go up here, and here's kind of the illustration that's in your book. And so let's try to get an equation of the line written for this line right here that we're looking at. So the one thing that you can do is you can first of all start, these are the things we need. We need the y, we need the m, we need the x, and we need the b. We need all those things. So first thing maybe that you can notice is what is the b in this one. So the b is remember the y-intercept. Notice the y-intercept is right here where it crosses the y line. What is it? Well, it's 0, 1. So when we write the b, we don't write the 0, 1. All we do is write the -1. We don't have to write the x point because the x point is a 0. So all we have to do is write b equals -1. Remember, something else that we're looking for is we are looking for the slope of the line, okay, because that's part of it as well. So we're looking for the slope. So we're looking for the m. What does the m of this line equal? Well, remember how to do it. Change in y over change in x. That's from the last lesson. And so let's just use these 2 points right here that they gave us. And so what is our change in y? Our change in y is the up and down. So how many do we go down? Remember, we're going down, so that's going to be a negative. So it's going to be -1, 2. There's only 2 spots down, so -2 over, and then there's only 1 spot over, and that's to the right, so that's going to be a positive. -2 over 1, we can get rid of that fraction because our denominator is 1, so the m is going to be -2. All right, so on page number 99, it gives us this equation. It says graph y minus or y equals 3x minus 2. So how are we going to graph that? It's actually not as hard as you think. You might be like, well, I don't have any points. I don't even know where to start. You actually do have a point, so you should know where to start. Let's go back and talk about what these things are. So what is the y? The y is the y point. Do we have that? No, we don't. We only have y. So we don't know the y point. The m is the slope. Do we have that? Yes, we do. That 3, or you could write it 3 over 1, that is the slope of this line. The x is the x point. We don't have that. And then the b is the y-intercept. So we do have the y-intercept. So if the slope is 3 over 1, and then what is the b? The b is -2. Remember, that's the y point because it's a y-intercept. So it would be 0, comma, -2. So what does that mean? That means that's the point at which our line crosses the y-axis. Okay? So here's the way that we graph these. We start with that point right there. Our y-intercept is a point on our line. It's 0, -2. So we come over here and we go to 0, which 0, 0 is right there in the middle, right? So we go to 0, -2. Remember, this is our y line and this is our x line. So we go to 0, -2. So just 2 down. So that's -2. So that's where our line crosses the y-axis right here at, what is that point? That point is 0, comma, -2. That's our b. B equals that. What is b? Our b is our y-intercept. Okay, so now we also know from this information, we know what our slope is. Our slope is our change in y over our change in x. We know what that is. So when we come back over here to the point, we have our change in y. So we go back over here. Our change in y is 3. Was that positive or negative? They're both positive, so we're going up and to the right. Okay, so up and to the right. So we're going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and we have to remember, so this is important because maybe you were looking at this going, oh, it's just a 3, so I don't have an x. I have a 0 for an x. No, you don't. Remember, if you put 3 over 0, you have a totally different fraction. 3 does not equal 3 over 0. 3 equals 3 over 1. So you had to put this over 1. So we have to actually go over 1 time on our x. So there we go. That's going to be our spot is right here. So now with 2 points, all we have is 2 points. We can actually draw our line. That was not the greatest line. We'll go to that. It's a little bit better. So now that's our line. So it's going up this way, down this way. So that's a positive slope. Why do we know it's a positive slope? Because it's going up and to the right. This is quadrant 1. And then it's going down to the left. And this is quadrant number 3 down here. So remember, this is a negative, negative quadrant. Okay. And this is a positive, positive quadrant. Okay, so our slope is positive in this case, and if you look at it, yes, our slope is positive because our slope was 3 over 1. Now we have drawn our line from our equation. So you can either draw the line from the equation or you can draw the equation from the line. There's actually 4 points here, how to graph from slope-intercept form. So the first thing that we do, I showed you this, but I didn't show you the steps here on this page number 99 in your book. So the first thing we do is we identify the slope and the y-intercept. We did that. Secondly, we plot the y-intercept. We put the y-intercept on the graph. That's what we did. Third, we use the slope to get our second point. We start at the y-intercept. We work our way over with our point, with our slope. And then we draw a line that goes through both. We did all 4 of those things here when we did this, okay? So we started with writing our slope and our y-intercept, and then we actually graphed our y-intercept, and then we counted our change in y and our change in x, and then we drew our line. All right, let's try one of these that's not in standard form. So page 101 in your book, page 101, they give you the equation 3x plus 2y equals 6. So let's come over here and let's just kind of work it out as we go. So the first thing you need to do on these, you want to put this into our y-intercept, our slope-intercept form. We want to get this to be y equals mx plus b. This is our goal. This is where we're going right here. Well, we don't have that right now, so you're like, I don't know how to solve this. Well, it's not that hard, but the key is that we have to get y equals. We can't have like 3y equals. We can't have any of that. We have to have y equals. So some important things, and we have to manipulate this formula right here into that y equals. All right, so what do we want to do? The first thing I want to do is I want to take this to the other side. Now, it is important here that we make sure we remember what is our goal. Y equals mx plus b. That's our goal. That's where we're going. So when we take this to the other side, let me change the color here so you can see a little bit better. So I want to figure out which piece do I take to the other side. Do I want to take this to the other side? Do I want to, bring the 6 over here? What do I want to do? I want it to look like this. So this is what I'm focused on. I want to leave the y over here. The y is already on this side. Okay. So I want to take this 3x and I want to move it over here. Now notice we want to move it so that it looks like this right here. So I'm going to move this to the other side by subtracting 3x from both sides. That's going to cancel this, and I'm going to get 2y equals negative 3x, and I have the 6, so I'm going to put plus 6. If it was a minus 6, I would leave it a minus 6, but because it doesn't have a sign, that means it's positive. Okay? So now this is a little bit tricky because I might think, oh, I have it already. It's 2y equals, okay, mx. This is already mx. It's not right because I have this 2y right here. All I want is y over here. Okay, that's the important part of this formula. Now, you might have other things in front of the x over here, and that's fine. But the y has to be all by itself. So we are going to divide everything by 2y. Now, you might just go like this and say, oh, I'm just going to do this. That doesn't really work for us in this context because we want it to look like this when we're done. That's our goal, is that it's in y-intercept form. So we're actually going to divide everything by 2, each separate little piece by 2. And then that's going to give us, ultimately, our y equals mx plus b. Okay? That's going to cancel, and we're going to get y equals. That's what we were going for. That's our goal. Y equals what? Well, this I can't really do anything with, so I'm just going to keep it. And then I can reduce this. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right, so here is my y-intercept, my slope-intercept form, is y equals negative 2 over 3x plus 3. So what is our mx and b? So our m is negative 2/3. Or negative 3/2, sorry. And then our slope, our b, is 3. And then we want to write this in a point. So remember, this is our y-intercept, so it's going to be 0, 3. That's going to be our y-intercept, is 0, 3. We are now ready to graph this right here. Just like we did before, we come out here to our 0 point right here in the middle, and we are going to come over there, and we're going to go how many? We're going to go to this right here. This is the point we're graphing. Our x, or our y-intercept is 0, 3. So we go 0 on the x and 3 on the y. So up 3. 1, 2, 3. Right here's our point. So right there is our first point. Now we're going to use the slope to give us our second point. Our slope is negative 3 over 2. So negative 3 means we're going back down 1, 2, 3, and then 2. 1, 2. Okay, so there's our point right there. There's our second point. And now we're ready to draw our line. Okay, it's that easy. Sometimes I wish I could make these things harder, but it's that easy. And you're like, no, it's not easy. All right, it is easy if you will follow the steps. If you will learn how to manipulate the equation, if you'll learn how to find your m, x, and b, all those things, they will become easy for you. I know they're not easy now. Okay, I know they're not. They're difficult. They're challenging. So follow your steps, scroll this video back, watch it again, and try to figure out, okay, how do I get it from basically when we got that one. All right, so if I go back here to this display again, and we look at this original one that we got right here, this right here, this was actually in standard form. Okay, so if they give it to you in standard form, you have to learn how to get it out of standard form into slope-intercept form. The way that you do that is you get the y by itself. Y equals something. Okay, once you do that, then you are ready to graph it. Okay, like I said, if you missed anything, slide it back, watch it again. That's all I've got for you. Hope you have a good one. See you later. Bye-bye.